Well, isn't that totally West Virginia? A church and a holler alongside a crick next door to a coal mine. I crisscrossed this state for 10 days, and I don't think I saw a more Appalachia thing the entire time. This is how it is in rural West Virginia. Churches, mountains, old coal mines, and small towns that look like they're barely surviving. There really is no other place like it in the country. And during winter, it's the best time to come. You can see everything much more clearly. It wasn't until day 8 on this Appalachian road trip that I ventured into the deepest heart of Appalachia land, and boy was it astonishing. Five days ago, I was in Morgantown, which is the most liberal place in the state. We met some interesting people and talked to them about their views on the world. Today, I'm in the most Republican place in West Virginia. This is Wyoming County, population 21,000. But Wyoming County isn't the most GOP place in the state. It's the most Republican county in the entire country. Now, if I were to compare how the liberals live versus where the conservatives live here, well, look at the place. Seems like Redland is a lot more behind the times. The reality here is not uplifting. I'm here because I've always found it interesting that some of the poorest places in this country vote the hardest red they can. People say, there's no perfect place for everyone. I don't know about that. I think this place is perfect for these folks. Man, this sure is quiet. Not a soul is stirring. It's cold out, so folks are probably inside watching old Billy Graham and Donald Trump speeches on their VCRs. Probably can't wait to talk to Jesus later. 'Cause this is Republican, mister. You'd probably be hard-pressed to find a single Democrat voter in the entire county. 70% of this county is officially conservative, making it the most conservative voting bloc in the United States. But what's it like here? How do the people view the world? And is Middle West Virginia as backwards as we've heard? To begin to answer that question, we need to drive around a while. First thing I saw when I came into the county was these side-by-side dudes gassing up at the local filling station. They're heading up into the off-roading trails that crisscross this state. But those trails are a real sore spot among Wyoming County residents. A lot of the land's been bought up by private hunters, so a lot of the tourism dollars here have dried up. And without tourism, there isn't a lot of money coming in here anymore. Let's go to civilization, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Now you can drive around windy West Virginia roads for hours and hardly see a Dollar General. And then you turn a corner, and out of nowhere is a little town. Some have 5 people in them. Some have 2,500 people. I can confirm almost all of them look identical. The heart of Wyoming County is a little city called Oceana. There's barely 1,400 people left here these days. It's a teeny little place tucked into the mountainsides, along a rural road, along a rural river. We're far away from anywhere you've heard of before. I mean, it would take you almost 2 hours to get to the state capital, Charleston. This is where I stayed for a couple days, and it was very hard to find anything going on. In town, there's a couple of fast food joints, a couple of mom and pop restaurants, a hardware store, a grocery store, and lots of churches. We'll get to that part in a minute. You'd have to drive 32 miles to get to a bar. That actually really surprised me. I thought, I'm in West Virginia and all. Figured I'd see dive bars all over the place. I mean, that's the stereotype. A bunch of moonshine drinking, whooping it uppers, running around the place all wild like. There's 3 reasons there ain't no bars in this town. Folks are either too old, too poor, or on drugs. Wyoming County's in steep decline. Half the population's left, probably forever. Oceana has closed down businesses all along its main street, something we're seeing more and more of in lots of rural America, huh? Half of the city's buildings and the main retail center are shuttered. I'm guessing at one point, a lot of this parking lot was taken up by eager shoppers. Not anymore. It's no different here than any other small town in West Virginia. Just quiet towns in some stage of decline. The energy and commerce and the hustle and bustle, that all left with the coal mines decades ago. And what's left behind in this county are kind of poor white people who go to church, carry guns, and do not stand for anything progressive. You know, gays, abortion, immigration, and telling them how to live their lives. Very conservative indeed. Nearly 3 in 4 people here vote conservative. And it's worth mentioning that 98% of the population here is white. And look at this, 99.8% of the population here is a U.S. citizen. That's down from 99.9% just a year ago. For perspective, in LA County, 84% of folks are U.S. citizens. Have you ever thought about the connection between rural poverty and conservative voting? I mean, most of our reddest regions in the U.S. are very poor. Here in Oceana, 1 in 3 people lives in poverty, and half the kids live in homes that get government assistance. There aren't many college graduates in town, and a lot of people are unhealthy. Drug use is so bad here, somebody made a documentary about the place called Oceana, which talked about the pain pill abuse here. So yeah, rural West Virginia is in a hard place right now. But what's weird is these hardcore red states were once the opposite of what we see now. Today's poorest hardcore red states were the only blue states when Eisenhower ran in 1952. It was like that here in West Virginia up until the 1990s. Back then, West Virginia was the bluest state of all. And it's all happened in the last 30 years. I mean, Bill Clinton crushed it here in 1992. Now, you mention Hillary and people around here will grab their damn pistols. A big reason for that is damn coal. Democrats hate guns, but they hate coal even more. And that's what these people bled for like ever. And as coal's fallen out of favor, it's like these people are still pissed about it. Most of the reason these West Virginia towns are in terrible shape is because coal's gone. There's coal plants that are abandoned all over this county. I lost count, actually. I asked folks in town about the big shift from blue to red here. They agreed coal was a big part. They also said the Democrat Party is just too damn liberal now. Some people also told me that people don't want handouts, but it looks like they sure need them. This is the mayor of Oceana. His name's Tom Evans. I asked him about that. A lot of people outside of the state of West Virginia, they think they're very hardcore Republican, but they also have a lot of poverty and drug abuse. So they'll say, like, well, what are the Republicans doing for rural West Virginians either, right? I mean, that's what the outside will say.
Well, so, you're probably right. We're kind of at the bottom of the totem pole.
I talked to other folks in town to see how conservative they really are. Some of them told me they believe in conspiracy theories, like COVID was snake venom, Joe Biden has an AI-generated face, voting machines, they're rigged. Others had less extreme views, but But everybody I talked to expressed hardcore Republican views that you could classify as stereotypical. Even though there's a ton of poverty and drugs around here, it's not really that dangerous. I think part of that's because a lot of West Virginians are armed. And a lot of the people here don't have much, but they're good folks. That'll help you if you need it. I heard stories about people losing their houses and everybody chipped in to help them out. And it sure is dirt cheap to live here. The average home price in Oceana is $46,000. That's probably not a surprise considering the style of homes. But homes are hard to come by because there just aren't very many good ones left standing in town. This is the only home listed for sale when I was here. They're asking $155K. Can you believe that? Folks in California are like, what? I actually heard a story about a couple from California who trekked out here. They got 800 acres for $60K not too long ago. Someone else from California bought a trailer and they turned it into a cozy cabin. OMG, what the hell? I like the idea though. So I guess there's a few people trickling in who want cheap and wide open. I think one day West Virginia is going to be the only last affordable place we have left in the country. But buyer beware, there's limited work. A lot of people work for the government, including law enforcement and healthcare. And there's still some energy jobs here. There's actually more people employed in energy than in education. That's a telling stat, isn't it? The average salary in whatever energy jobs are left is $70K a year, and that goes a long way in rural towns like this. So you can understand why they've become so dependent on coal and gas here, and why they freak out when these jobs are eliminated. If they could just find some damn lithium mines around here, these people would be buku rich. I'm sure they'd love to roll up their sleeves and mine for precious metals with a bright future. But I don't think that's happening. But if they ever find lithium mines, there's a lot of good folks with a lot of experience right here who will do it. If you get lucky, you see some interesting signs on the sides of roads out here. These folks are very supportive of both Trump and Jesus.
I'd never vote conservative. Donald Trump can rot in hell, that animal.
Wow, Karen, that's pretty aggressive. You know he's not in office anymore and probably won't ever be again.
I don't care. It's all his people. They want to overthrow the government and get rid of black people.
Karen, that's not even true at all. And you should probably keep your mouth shut in these parts. Gonna get us run off the damn road, woman.
You better talk to the preacher, tell him how you feel and listen close to the preacher. Tell your love's for real, he'll lead you out of the darkness into the light. He'll show you how happiness lies in treating everyone right.
Driving around here, there's signs of republicanism all over the place. I'll tell you what, there are a lot of churches in this town. A lot of churches. Look at the map of churches on this one little street in downtown Oceana. I counted 11 of them in like a 2-mile stretch of downtown. That's certainly a sign you're in God's country. West Virginia, home of the free, land of the saved. Most of the folks in town are Methodists and Baptists. West Virginia is supposedly the 7th most religious state of all when you measure church attendance and belief in God. Church is all a lot of these folks have. Jima Dunigan runs the Oceana bed and breakfast in town. Great place. Looks to me like she serves up a lot of cornbread and beans, but for us, she made a special meal of biscuits and gravy. After breakfast, Jima and I sat down and talked. She has strong opinions about a lot of things. And since she's so hardcore Republican and all, I figured she'd be a good insight into the mentality of this county. What are the strongest conservative values that you personally hold?
I am anti-abortion. Absolutely. I'm pro-life. I am concerned about the the devaluing that media, so forth, has done toward Christian values, about our Christian faith. I really am concerned about that. And I see, like I was telling you last night, I see a strong connection between Satanism. And it's growing. It is exponentially growing. And the influence of the media, Disney, for example, and it's just one. Did you see the article about them producing a video, The Demon Child?
There's a saying about religion. Faith is to believe what you don't see. I think you could actually apply that to politics too. Looking around this place and considering how these people vote, you might wonder why they keep voting the way they do. I'm not saying politics is the solution here. I don't think liberals care. I don't think conservatives care either. I don't think anyone cares about this place except the people who live here. They're all alone in this cruel world. I've spent a lot of time looking at the tragedies of our inner cities. Everybody piles on. Liberal cities are in terrible shape. The Dems destroy everything they touch. But it's a fact. A lot of our most hardcore conservative places are rural, poor, drug addicted, and have bad education and poor health. Why is that? Why do some of our most destitute regions vote red in such large numbers? Are Republicans failing their biggest supporters? Or do these people not want the help? Lots of people here seem to be content living in conditions that most of us would think are less than ideal. I mean, it is pretty here. You can shoot stuff and praise Jesus way away from everybody else. Surrounded by mountains and rivers. Lots of places for kids to be kids. That's not a bad thing, is it? I could drop you off probably anywhere in this county, and as long as you don't have on a Greenpeace shirt, someone will buy you a beer. But you'd have to drink it at home while watching Fox News. Outsiders will say West Virginia is very conservative, and there's a correlation between like conservative, small rural conservative and poverty. And you guys have some problems with poverty, just like liberal cities do. Mm-hmm. But I'm wondering, do you feel, do you have an opinion on why such strong conservative places are also some of our poorest and unhealthy with drugs? Mm. Is there?
I'm not sure that I see a correlation right now. I'm thinking that the poverty is actually a political motivated thing. I'm thinking if you pay attention, coal, this is a coal community in the past, boom and bust was always related to whoever was in office. And if it was connected to steel production, if it was connected to energy production, for example, right now the administration that we have is anti-energy. And anti-energy in the long run means reduction of manufacturing, reduction of course, our coal production, reduction of quality of life, and I think it's political.
Do you think that the Democrats are intentionally squashing energy so that they can control the conservative communities?
I think it's a worldwide thing. I really do. I think the Democrats and that's not the party my father had. My father was, and I was for a long time, a Democrat. He was absolutely, my mother was, all my people were Democrats. But the party is not the same party that it used to be. It is now a socialist communist party, has been taken over, flat out, taken over by other organizations. And it is no longer the Democrat Party that our family grew up with. The same thing with universities. and I've watched it for a long time, the universities have been filled with liberal thinking professors, staff, and so forth, to where, and I've attended college a lot, still, even in my older age, I've still attended college, and I hear the professors talk about their values that they no longer believe in and what they stand for now. It's very deep into our society, not just our politicians, but it's in our universities. And if you look and listen, it's into even our elementary schools now. The teachers have been indoctrinated into, and we're forced to teach it, whatever they send down the pike. They have been indoctrinated into the liberalism, the socialism, the gender stuff, to where it is soaking into our society. It's changing our society. Magic is definitely Satanism.
So you're never going to vote Democrat again?
Never. Not even for one person. Because even one person, I just leave it blank. If there's only one candidate, I leave it blank. One person, they still represent that whole. And that whole is totally against anything my soul can accept.
Okay, so what was it that made West Virginia switch from hard blue Democrat to hard red conservative within like a 10-year period? Sometime it was in the late 80s, 90s, West Virginia was blue, now it's red. Why?
Okay, I think the Democratic Party has abandoned Christian values. I do. They have adopted the socialist values and the anti-Christian values. They have, media has influenced the people. But I think the backbone of our people have rejected this movement of the Democratic Party and of the Socialist Party. And that is why we changed. We went from being a blue Democrat state, we have been for years and years, into being a more Republican state because the switch in values. And we have not switched as much as other parts of the country. I think that Trump represented the Christian qualities, and I think there was a big flip right then. It was beginning to happen before, and I think when Trump came in and then the Trump-Hillary thing, I think that's when it flipped. I do, because the Democratic Party and their candidates do not represent our values.
What do people here feel like? You're in a small town in West Virginia, separated from a lot of the country. You see what's going on in our big cities. What do you guys think about what's going on out there in the big cities where it's not the same as this little small town?
Well, I know there's a difference in the schools. For the most part, our schools are peaceful. And I see videos of the violence that takes place in schools in the cities, the disrespect that students have for teachers and the school system altogether. I see the violence in the streets. I see videos of the drug use, people just laying in the street, jumping off bridges and so forth. The high crime rate that is everywhere else. We have some. Every community has some crime. We do, but I'm concerned about it encroaching more and more and more on us. I know that there is some drop off of homeless people right into our community. I have windows right here in my business, and I know practically everyone that comes back and forth. Then all at once we'll have 20 new people that I've never seen before, and they have been dropped off. That is happening all over the country. We hear about it, we see it, and it is happening.
It's the most conservative state. This is pretty much the most conservative county. Do they all feel like, the people you talk to, how do they think about the future of the country?
We're tremendously worried about our country. We are. We're worried about the crime in government. We are worried about the corruption in government. We're worried about the global movement that would take away our individual standards, our individual culture, individual rights. Very, very concerned. I'm concerned about my country in general. I'm definitely a patriot. For the most part, I think people in this county are very conservative. We have Christian values, we have family values, we have community values. We are very, very concerned about our economy, about our the well-being of our people. We all care. For example, in this town, we've recently opened up a warming center because of the people that are homeless, and the weather's been very bad. People volunteer for that and bring in food, and we just do the best we can. School, we're very concerned about what happens in our schools. We're concerned that church attendance has dropped off. We are a compassionate, caring people. We make sure people are fed. We try to do clothing for people that need it. I'm proud to be part of this county. I love this county, and I'm proud to be part of this community, Oceana.
Why did it change from, because I know this used to be a very liberal state. I mean, it was the bluest state in the 80s and 90s, and now it's like the reddest state. Why is the state so changed? How did it flip so heavily?
Well, for one thing, I think because the Democrats didn't deliver. You know, you can sing that song so many times, but after a while, you lose the tune. And yeah, people just lost faith in the Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and a lot of it is younger people getting involved. And I don't know. Of course, here I don't think we're as politically crazy as the rest of the country. We're kind of in our own little cocoon here. We try to do our own thing, but it'll get to us too, you know. And our luckily, we don't have a lot of race problems, you know, and even people here don't have a real problem with the blacks that we do have here. But it's going to be a challenge, you know, next few years. And
how conservative are folks here? Is it like, from an outsider's perspective, you would think it would be all about Jesus and conspiracy theories and Joe Biden can go to hell?
Yeah, well, I think you're right. It is religious. Strong religious base. Now, we've lost a lot of those people. Those people have passed on. But we still got a good core group, you know. And it's just like bars and things like that. Well, we don't have any here. Now, back in the day, you know, when the coal miners and all that, you know, there was probably had 6 beer joints here in town. Now we don't have any, you know. So people want to think good about here, you know, they really do. They don't want to be negative. But we just need a little help, you know, to make this thing. I don't think we'll ever boom, but we're only going to take a small one. Just a little bit would really enhance this area. It really would, you know. Probably one of the strongest things is our work ethic, you know. But we're having to really offset that generation that we lost to drugs. I mean, Lord, the young people that we've lost here, you know. And so I don't know if we need to start at 5 years old and educate these kids about drugs. I don't think you can wait to 15 or 16. You've lost them. Back in the day when I was starting my family, my dad always told me, he said, boy, if you don't have your children under control by the age 6, forget it. Well, guess what? You better move that down to about 3. There's so many influences in the environment for these kids. And once they start to school, you think of all the time that you're not around that child. And they're influenced by teachers, other parents, the children that you don't even know. And you think everything is good. And well, other people have those children's ear.
If you were to list 5 values that people in Oceana have, what do you think is the 5 most important things that people here care about the most?
Church, family, work, and believe it or not, most people actually worry about their neighbor. People are very helpful. Now, of course, there's some that turn people off and they don't get that help. And the 5th one, I think they just have enough faith that it's all going to work out. That the good guy's going to win. Now, it may be a while before he gets to it. But, yeah, I think all in all, it can't keep going on. My dad always had a saying about politicians, a country. He said, at some point, it will explode and we'll go back to ground level and start again. And then whatever time period, 40 years, 50 years, well, hell, it's going to blow up again. Then you start again. Well, I think we're kind of getting there. And let's face it, when you get down to presidential elections and your 2 choices are Donald Trump and Joe Biden, God help us. Really. And I don't know either one of them personally, but they're not leaders, really and truly. Now, for me to sit here and say, well, I know 10 others that could be, I'd really have to think about that. And I mean, I'm a registered Democrat, but I haven't voted Democrat in years and years, probably out of protest.
I'm actually surprised to hear you say, I agree with you about Donald Trump. I think he's has some good things, but some bad things. I thought most people up here would be, are most people up here pretty Trump?
Yes, but they're not crazy about, example, they love he wants to cut out big government, looks out for the people, the border and all that, but yet they can't stand when he makes fun of that reporter, that handicap. I saw that, I said, Jesus Christ, what are you doing? You don't do that to anybody. Making faces and I said, you're the leader of the free world? And what's so bad that some bitch thinks he can win it again? But people here, of course, this is more like a retirement community now. And you got older people, and we've lost a generation to drugs. We just have. And so it's affected our workforce, and a lot of people have lost faith in the politicians. They tell you one thing but do something else. And but we'll survive. That's one thing about people in West Virginia, they're hard-working people, honest, and we'll overcome the problems, the homelessness and the drugs, and but it's going to take time. It's going to take time.
Are you looking to move and need advice? I do consulting. That's right. I'll sit down and talk about where the next perfect place for you and your family should be. I do it all the time. Together, let's find you a new home that's safe and checks all your boxes. And I can also help you find your new house, too. Email me and I'll work with you on not just helping you figure out where to move, but I can help you find your perfect home, too. That's right. I know awesome, reliable agents all over the country, and I'd love to connect you to somebody who can help you search for that perfect home. Hey guys, if you learned something new about America or what it's like to live in America, great. You should think about subscribing and turning on your notifications. You can also click one of these videos or playlists for more.
This is Sage, Nick's manager. This has been a Corner House Entertainment production.